Picture a chilly Moscow conference room, 1987. American diplomats sit, pens poised, facing a sharp-tongued Soviet negotiator named Anatoly. As the discussion over arms reductions begins, Anatoly's calm veneer hides a strategic storm beneath, a style shaped by decades of history and shadowy power plays. What is this hidden Russian code that trips up Western negotiators time and again? Let's crack it wide open. Even after the USSR crumbled, its negotiating ghosts haunt the table. Russian tactics today echo Soviet-era rules, cunningly repurposed for a new game. Here's why that matters. Jerrold Schecter recounts a late 1980s arms control meeting where Anatoly Dobrinin, once Khrushchev's translator, brought Cold War-era brinkmanship alive. His slow reveals and deliberate silence weren't accidental. They were inherited moves from Soviet playbooks dating back to Stalin's Kremlin, designed to unsettle and control the pace. Think of Russian negotiating like a high-stakes chess match, not a casual game of checkers. Every concession is a calculated gambit, every silence a pressure point. Schecter compares it with watching a grandmaster who calculates moves 5 steps ahead, laying traps that only the unwary fall into. This style demands that Western negotiators abandon rush tactics, or they'll find themselves outplayed. Instead, they must slow down, anticipate feints, and read between the lines, turning what looks like delay into strategic advantage. Patience isn't just a virtue, it's survival. Trust in Russian negotiation isn't built like a Western handshake deal. It's more like navigating ice that can crack any time. Here's how trust and suspicion intertwine in their dance. Schecter shares a story from a 1990s Siberian oil deal where American executives faced a constant barrage of contradictory information. Their Russian partners never offered explicit trust, but instead tested endurance, pushing partners to prove themselves repeatedly before anything concrete emerged. Imagine trust as ice on a frozen lake. You test each step carefully, knowing it might break. Russian negotiators offer verbal agreements that sound firm, but watch how they never fully commit. Schecter explains it's not deception, but a cultural shield forged through decades of espionage anxieties and political upheaval. Ambiguity isn't a flaw, it's a tool. Russian negotiators use vague terms like chess players use gambits to keep opponents uncertain and off balance. This ambiguity forces Westerners to fight for clarity, shifting power toward the side that controls the narrative's fog. So you know their style: slow, guarded, strategic, but opaque. How can you stop getting played and start playing to win? Schecter offers surprising countermeasures. In a tense Moscow apartment negotiation, an American buyer learned that pressing too hard led only to shutdowns. Instead, Schecter suggests blending dogged patience with imposed deadlines, letting Russians keep their slow style but inside a firmer frame. Deadlines become pressure points, not ultimatums. Rather than demanding sweeping final agreements, break deals into small, manageable steps that build trust incrementally. Schecter cites US-Russian arms talks where achieving micro-agreements kept momentum alive, each one a small pillar supporting the larger structure, preventing collapse from a single failed move. Face-saving is not just politeness but strategy. Russians need wiggle room to retreat without loss of honor. Schecter recommends building in escape hatches and options so they can back down gracefully, turning potential deadlocks into pivots for progress. Everyone walks away with dignity preserved. Remember Anatoly in that cold Moscow room, the slow burn of his tactics, the chess moves masked as polite talks. Now you see how centuries of history and culture keep that style alive. Next time you're across the table from a Russian negotiator, slow down, watch for silence as a weapon, and map out those small wins. Try this. Before you negotiate, plan your incremental anchors. It's the key to turning their game into your victory. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.